3 knockouts, 9 submissions, 3 decisions. 1 overturned for the Devil's Lettuce. Just how good is Anthony Hernandez? Meet Fluffy. Anthony Hernandez is 185's next big pressure fighter, who sacrifices physicality and muscle mass for unfathomable levels of endurance. The cardio demon. Truly a style that must feel like hell to fight against. The majority of fighters circle the cage and fight to preserve their energy. Why would you not? But not Fluffy. This man bolts headfirst into danger and slowly fatigues his opponent until they quit. Hernandez is violently marauding his way through middleweight and riding a dominant 8-fight win streak, which definitely warrants a top 5 matchup now. So let's begin tonight's video with a lesson on the cardio fighter, or endurance-based fighter. A type of fighter who doesn't prioritize doing damage, which has always been the top priority in professional MMA, but we've seen a few names deviate from this and instead prioritize sapping the energy of their opponent. Then the damage or the finish can come later. Just look at Merab Dvalishvili or even the heavyweight Cain Velasquez, who were small for their division, but use that to their advantage to develop superhuman cardio. The less muscle you have and bigger set of lungs you have can allow human beings to reach incredible levels of endurance. And this really is an X factor that we need to identify in MMA fighters these days. Because every fighter's biggest fear is having no more gas in the tank to defend themselves, and this is Fluffy's entire game plan. To hit this pace where he can systematically drain his opponent's cardio, while he himself simply just coasts and barely breaks a sweat. We'll call it cardio management IQ. These are the pro fighters that other pro fighters actually fear. Not the big powerful finishers or the scary submission threats, but these guys. Because your martial arts skills mean nothing if you have no energy left to even enforce them in the first place. And this guy isn't inventing anything new. That's mainly why he's flown completely under my radar as a serious threat, but sometimes the simple stuff works the best. Hernandez has basic footwork, basic attacks, and has a decent choke series, but the way he uses them is incredibly intelligent, and the longer the fight goes, the scarier he gets. One thing I really like about Hernandez is how he also loves to taunt his opponent once he knows they're starting to break. It's like he just keeps pushing and pushing until suddenly he senses a shift, then he just turns into a straight-up villain. He choked out the great JunYong Park, the Iron Turtle, and since this soul-crushing moment, I've hated this man ever since. I don't care. But after a complete shutout against Mr. Steal Yo Girl, Roman Dolidze, he has a serious argument against the top 5 of the division, and it's time I recognize him as one of the elites. And it's absolutely time to make a video about him now, give him his credit, and dive into this crazy fight style he's made work. But will it continue to work against names like Whitaker, De Ridder, or even Adesanya? We need to find out. Anthony Hernandez, a pressure fighter who wins the cardio battle and exhausts all of his opponents. Strike accuracy, 63%. Strikes landed per minute, 4.5. Fluffy's striking is very high, but low power. He does a lot of chipping away in the clinch with little rabbit punches or knees and elbows. Strikes absorbed per minute, 2.5. This is low, but this is due to him mainly being in control against a gassed adversary, and less him having great defense on the feet. Takedown average, 6.4. Honestly quite sickening. It takes energy to shoot and defend the takedown, which is why we see these infinite cardio fighters abuse the wrestling so much. Most fighters can strike until the sun goes down, but not all of them can wrestle that long. Submission average, 1.7. Takedown accuracy, 49%. Strike defense, 50%. Takedown defense, 68%. I think what it will truly take to get Hernandez beat is someone who can shoot back into him to just avoid the avalanche. You need to tip the scales back in your favor or he will just run you over. He's gone against a lot of fighters that fear wrestling, but I think when he finally faces a proper wrestler, it might go a little bit different. Knockdown average, 0.1. Average fight time, 10 minutes, 27 seconds. His strengths, non-stop pressure, rock chin, no fear. Hernandez wins when he can get the ball rolling early. Heavily muscled opponents are in for a shock when they can't find the kill shot on him, and soon find themselves completely just gassed out and out of options. Weaknesses: basic striking, soft body, injuries. Fluffy has been finished in the past by getting caught in a quick choke from one of DDP's past victims, and even dusted up by a prime Kevin Holland in round 1. His striking is pretty simple and underwhelming, all things considered, and he is riddled with injuries if you take a look at his Wikipedia page. Small critiques, yes, but no fighter is without their flaws. Best performance, humiliating Roman Dolidze. This recent cardio mogging was a sad one, okay? Just when I think Roman Dolidze is beginning to evolve, he completely falls apart against this cardio sapping style. And he looked just exhausted after 5 minutes. Dolidze is good, something a lot of people refuse to believe, but I had a lot of faith in this man's overall MMA toolkit. He is dangerous. But the amount of weapons you have means nothing if you can't manage your cardio in a fight, and Fluffy completely ran him over in this fight. It kind of blew my mind how quick Dolidze gassed out. Like, we've seen far worse fighters like Josh Fremd and Mikel Pereira last longer than Dolidze. Like, what the fuck? Hernandez peppered Dolidze on the feet, got the takedowns, but didn't play guard, and completely aura-farmed through the whole thing. Take a bow, dude. I'll give him his cred. But here comes the cope. I think Extreme Couture as a gym is not only having a rough year, but falling behind due to coaching too many athletes. They should dial it back a bit and build them properly, because now Eric Nixick unironically uses ChatGPT to make his game plans. That's a quote. And I knew that before I picked Dolidze, which is why I'm kicking myself for it. Oh well, it's middleweight. Most fun, spiking Marc-Andre Barriault on his fucking head. No moves are off limits here in MMA, but Fluffy Hernandez did Marc-Andre Barriault dirty here. Barriault is a classic marauder and just got completely beat to smithereens in this one. This fight, he showed a ton of nasty clinch work, and Barriault hung tough and swung back for as long as he could until, dying. Fluffy put on his usual game plan of forward pressure, securing the takedown, then putting all his weight on Barriault to exhaust him, along with plenty of educated ground and pound. I feel like we can get away from what MMA really means. We just spoke about Chase Hooper in the last video, who did start out as a specialist, but Anthony Hernandez is a throwback to what fighting really is. He uses everything. Striking, clinch control, takedowns, offensive grappling, scrambling. Like, no wonder he is exhausting to deal with. He brings everything to the table, and he gives every opponent everything they can handle until they can't. He submitted Marc-Andre in round 3 brutally, putting the French-Canadian out cold. Future matchups. Paulo Costa, Reinier de Ridder, Israel Adesanya. Let's run through a few possible matchups that might come together in the next few months here. First, the UFC loves Paulo Costa, so this one could really surprise some people, but let's go ahead and break it down first, just in case. Would Costa's power and physical gifts bridge this cardio gap, or would Hernandez have him gassing by the end of the first? Reinier de Ridder is a giant 185er, but that could work for or against him here once he faces a cardio demon like Fluffy. I think RDR is just hard to wrestle. Like, Bo Nickel didn't really have much success, but I think at this point Hernandez is just a different beast. I hope they make this one next. I don't think RDR would accept, but this one would be a fun mess, trust me. It's anyone's guess who Israel Adesanya could actually return against. If history is any indication, he would probably campaign for a rematch in true Izzy fashion, but I feel like Izzy should just take this one. It would be a very fun and very different contrast in styles, and would really boost either guy's career with a win. Former middleweight great versus this new boogeyman of the division. We've seen Hernandez abuse fighters that are heavily muscled, but Israel Adesanya is slender and quick and swift, so I think this one would be super interesting to see how it would play out, because this is the kind of matchup that Adesanya has kind of evaded his whole career, is just a pressure-heavy, iron-chinned wrestler. And no, Marvin Vettori does not fucking count. So if you want to witness high-pace, unbreakable pressure wrestling and hate Merab Dvalishvili, you watch Fluffy Hernandez, okay? He emphasizes damage a lot more, he gets finishes, and he is always a fun watch, whether you root for or against him. And I'm coming around to Fluffy, okay? He's fun, he aura farms, he taunts. Even if I do joke that he's on meth, sometimes all it takes is cardio and being a bad motherfucker. As always, thank you guys for watching. Drop your favorite Fluffy moment down below. MMA makes no fucking sense, but I'm out here trying to put it all together. Until next time.